What is going on, folks? I am Goat. Welcome back to Warframe with the Frame builds. Yeah, I know in the last video I said, oh, I'm done with these. This will be the last one for a while. And one of my subscribers sent me a message on Facebook about Koumei. So, and I'm gonna be honest, okay? I don't know why in the hell I didn't think of this. I have... Ever since Koumei's augment released, it's been kind of just eating it in a crawl just a little bit, trying to figure out, exactly how I can make that work on an endurance level. And truth be told, I was focused on the wrong thing. Yes, the decrees for Koumei are really good for endurance stuff. But the short term, making her kit function while you're working the decrees is a whole different ball of wax. Now, I'm going to use some weapons that probably wouldn't expect. Melee you might, but the primary and both of the secondaries I'm going to show are very, very interesting. So, the request that was made to me was use Archon mods. Okay? So, use Archon mods where I see fit, and Arcane Impetus, the Augment, and what the hell was the other thing? Oh, Air Burst or Pull. Okay, now I got this message, what, August 18th? So, here we are. Finally got around to it, screwing around. And I found that there's actually a funny way to use Roar as well. So let's get into Koumei. Mild changes here. Doing max energy at spawn, max energy at spawn, both are not necessary depending on the mission type. Like if you're doing like an exterminate, your capture, something, or a mobile defense, something that requires you to get going right fucking now, it's good to have. But not necessary. Shield capacity and the shield capacity, those are on here for a little bit of survivability, depending on if you feel like using a specific sentinel, being Taxon. If you don't, these can be honestly any fucking thing that you want. And then ability duration. Now, ability duration is very nice with Koumei for a multitude of reasons. But with the Roar build, I used a generalized idea of using a grouping ability like Air Burst or like Mag's Pull. So Zephyr's Air Burst or Mag's Pull, and I'm using the Sciatid in lieu of that. And then just using Roar for pure weapon damage output. Now this also comes into play because the Sciatid is actually very, very accurate in regards to getting headshots. So like when that particular decree pops up, get 20 headshots or 15 headshots or whatever, Sciatid's very good at that job. You can also use something like the Incarnate Dual Toxicist, the Incarnate Furus, the Latum. I mean, there's a lot of really, really good secondary options for that with the grouping ones. Okay. The primary, Tenet Galaxian, is just, it's a mix, it's kind of a mixed bag of energy coupled with, I want to kill a whole bunch of enemies right fucking now. With Roar. And then the Thallus. Now, the Thallus is really good for, just general fuckery when it comes to Acolytes, because you can charge the Incarnate very quickly with this thing just by setting this bad boy up. So basically, swipe through, slide through a crowd of enemies and you're at the ×3 multiplier, which is this, very, very fast. So yeah, I mean, so the basis behind this is pretty functional. Now again, if you don't want to use Taxon, if you would prefer to use something like Worm Prime or, hell, Death Cube for energy or whatever the hell the case may be, God be with you. Personally, I would probably say one more duration shard and one more strength shard. And probably in the grand scheme of things, probably one more Forma in the Koumei build just to max out the range for cutting drift, which we're going to show now. Now, the Roar, the Air Burst, and the Pull builds are all fucking identical, I believe. I think. No. They should be. I don't know why I forgot to change. I was apparently running that motherfucker without. It's all good. That was probably... Okay, yeah. Yeah, I just forgot to change out the airburst one. So these builds are fucking identical. The only difference is the subsume. Now, the marionette ability, so the ultimate, is really, in my opinion, not a wondrous ultimate ability. Yes, it's a CC function, it's a status spreading function, but the truth is that, especially at choke points or with grouped areas, her first ability is far and away better for really spreading the status the hell around if you're using Archon mods, which is what the thing I'm kicking back on. Why the fuck didn't I think of this? Because Koumei spreads all sorts of status types. Like basically every sort of non-physical status type in this fucking game can randomly proc on an enemy. So Archon continuity, very good idea. Archon stretch, very good idea. I mean, general power, you know, your general energy regen is really good. Since we're running crap at efficiency, running equilibrium on this, definitely a good idea. And in range, you know, 188%, like I said, you know, it would be, I believe, 190 if that was maxed all the way, so it's not a huge, like, hiccup. Excuse me. Just had like 3 yawns in a row. That's annoying. Adaptation for whatever the hell gets around. What the hell is that? The fucking names of these Koumei's abilities is funny as hell. But the Amamori. So anything that may sneak past the Amamori, you got adaptation on there just to help give you a little bit of extra love and a good time. And yeah, you know, so basically it's like here, you know, Amamori, use your abilities, and yeah. Now, I could also see, especially with something like the airburst or the pull build, there's a thing about those two grouping abilities, and I had to really kind of question why those two specific abilities were requested. And then I forgot about the most obvious fucking thing. Both of them ragdoll enemies. Okay, so when you're grouping the enemies, they can just come flailing in, arms, legs, just flopping all over the place. Each part of their body that strikes one of these strands from the first ability is also proccing the status, so you're basically kind of almost quadruple dipping at times, depending on how the enemy comes flopping the hell in, with, you know, something like that. And airburst is a more encompassing, you know, like a circular area that pulls stuff into, where, you know, pull is a much more directional thing. So I think if you're going to use a grouping ability, unless you're just like, you know, bottlenecking at the end of a hallway, I think airburst is the better option, because basically you can cast airburst and just drop the first ability right on the crowd and it just fucks them up. But yeah, that's kind of the thing. So yeah, so we're going to show the airburst build, because honestly, I've been having a lot of fun with it. The roar build is a good time, but because we're using a grouping ability, I'm actually going to use just a dual coder Torxica. Okay, like, yeah, I mean, could I use, you know, the Latum? Could I use the Fierce? Could I use the, you know, Incarnate Dual Toxicist? Yes, but I don't want to have to sit there and focus on headshots right now. So I just want to shoot at them. Makes me feel good just to shoot bullets. So yeah. I mean, you know, Koumei's the gambler frame, right? So we're just over here casting dice like a dum-dum baby. And we're just kind of doing the thing. So, you know, we're at max energy. I am going to go back to the 155s. Not that the build won't handle the 230s, because I actually tested at the 230s, but I'm trying to stay... I know some of my reshoots, I forgot to reset that, and then some of them were just like, meh, whatever. But I'm trying to keep continuity with what the hell I'm doing here, so... Alright, ready for this? I kind of didn't cast that in the crowd, did I? Hi ladies, how you doing? Oh, one's over here surviving, huh? If I could actually hit the bitch, that'd be a good time. Now, if you think of it this way, that didn't look all that impressive, but that's also like, you know, the highest armored fucking enemies that you can pull in this motherfucker. And yeah, it just boogered them all up, ragdolled them, and that was that, right? Come on. But see, now we're gonna come over here, airburst these bitches. You kind of see why the Thalus is really good for this. Now, yeah, can you do that with any frame using airburst? Sure. Of course you can. But see, then you cast this bullshit and you don't even have to do anything crazy. Because they are procced with so much bullshit. A couple of swipes instead of doing a whole, you know, slide attack straight through. Because the Thalus really wants to slide attack all the time. It's where this thing shines. Shines, I should say. So, but I mean, you see with the range, you know, like the strands are, you know, actually pretty encompassing. You know, they're kind of all over the fucking place, but they are pretty encompassing. So if you hit airburst here, anybody that gets drugged through is going to hit every one of those fucking strands coming to you. It's pretty good. But I will show the roar setup, okay? Just because it's there. Just want to do right by this. Yeah. Okay, so let's go to the roar setup. Bingo bongo. And yeah. So we're just gonna do, oh fuck it, we'll just go ahead and cast the Amamori. Alright, so here we go. I mean, like, they're all getting procced up with gas and all sorts of silly shit here. I mean, look, I'm over here just trying shit. Stop it. Yeah. I mean, Tenant Glaxium with roar. Into a lump of dum-dums. But the kicker behind this is now we have a pile of energy and health orbs, so we can use that for equilibrium, or we can just use that for energy, and we don't have to worry about the whole tanked out efficiency nonsense. Now, equilibrium does a pretty good job of keeping up with that one anyway, so it's not a big deal. Now, I could actually see, I mean, like, if I just had to throw a random few weapons instead of the Glaxium, because I know the Glaxium seems like a slow killer, I can see the Tenararchoplasmor. You know, a little bit more of an encompassing, it's not really AoE, but it's a broad strike weapon. You know, I tested actually with the Incarnate Latron and the Incarnate Miter, but again, those are really fucking powerful anyway. Let's see here, what else? The Exceltra, I could see the Exceltra doing, yeah, I could definitely see the Exceltra putting in some fucking work. Yeah, there's that, you know, like exploding AoE stuff with people that are grouped up and getting status proc to hell anyway. You know, Bubonico, that's another one. Anything with any kind of an AoE is really, you know, like, fuck the Hagaza. I just don't like Koumei's primary. Yeah. Hell, even the Cerberus, the Incarnate Cerberus, with it spreading, you know, blast procs around. Yeah, there's quite a few, you know, like the Codosporthrix, I could see that one. You know, the Trumna, obviously, Trumna Prime. Yeah, there's quite a few. You know, I say quite a few. There's, you know, hell, the Cedo. That's a perfect one. It's already one to randomly status proc with its old fire anyway. So, I mean, yeah, there's some really good options. I just like the energy recovery function behind this. So, just saying. No, I've tested with the Furus, the Dultoxis, the Prisma Angstrom, you know, the my negative curve Latum, obviously the Cyatid, the Dual Coda Torxica, the Kuva Brack, even with the Tenet Cycron. Now, the problem is if you do like two chaining weapons, that whole, you know, get headshots thing, it becomes much more interesting. Because then you just basically have to burst shot, you have to just kind of burst shot at the enemy's heads, rather than just hold trigger, watch enemies melt kind of thing. So yeah, very, very survivable, very functional way to play Koumei. And yeah, I ran for like 2.5 hours at the, what is it? Is it a Daro, I think, on Sedna? the Grenier Survival in Sedna. I ran for like 2.5 hours on this build, on the Airburst build, then I went back for another hour on the Roar build, never fucking got downed, never ran out of energy, and it was just a really good fucking time, I gotta admit. Now, again, am I gonna say that this is, you know, especially like with all the fucking decrees and shit, Jesus Christ, man, once that shit gets going, especially when you get like a irresistible bombardment and you get, oh god, what is the one? Yeah, well, irresistible bombardment's every 5th shot. The one that speeds up your fire rate, I forget. You know, Bombastein's Malice is, that's a really funny one to get, especially against Grenier, because their heads are pretty easy to get for the most part. So, no, I mean, like, once you start really, really capping up the decrees, oh yeah, I mean, you just fucking start wrecking the shit out of enemies. So, I do have to admit, I want to thank Fred. Not going to throw his last name out there, but I do want to thank Fred for the recommendation, because my stupid ass didn't think of it. I love to tinker, and I don't know why in the hell. I think, honestly, I was a little biased on throwing Forma at Koumei. I'm not even going to lie. I think I was honestly just biased about throwing Forma at Koumei, and, well, worth it. I'm going to start playing her a lot more now, because she is actually quite a bit of fun. That's it. That's all. So, folks, thanks very much for watching. As always, we'll catch you in the next one, all right?